Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Aiden, from Cartoon Apocalypse, and welcome back to another Turner Tuesday. Today, we are doing another recap very similar to last week's. So last week we did 3 islands, just a general basic description of them. And then this week we did another 3 islands, just a basic general description of them. Now, since it took 3 hours to cover just 3, or no, not 3 hours. It took 2 hours just to cover 3 islands. That's obviously a long time for each island. So instead of going through different clips, I'm going to just walk you through right now what we talked about. As far as what we're doing next week, we are going to be doing 3 more islands and hopefully finishing up the 9 total islands that there are. Of course, unless something comes up next week where it's like we end up spending, I don't know, like 2 hours on like just 2 islands, and then we have to do another 4th stream just for that separate island. But hopefully it will not come to that. So that's what we're doing next week. And so, yeah, time code should be down in the description if you want to skip around to each of the different islands. So let's just go ahead and hop right into this. All right, so the first island we talked about today was the Cave Island, or also the Crystal Island, or the Krytos Island. Now, this island is a moist environment with a thick ground fog. Now, this is talking about the like surface, not the underground. People live in large underground caves. Crystals on the ceiling of the caves that extend past the clouds. So say, for example, this is the like the ground level, and then this is the cave. There's crystals that like poke out of the ground here, and then they also extend up and they go really tall up into the clouds. And since there's a lot of clouds, there's just basically constant clouds on the island, so there's not much sunlight when you're just on the surface, but when you get underground, there's a lot of sunlight because the crystals peek through the clouds and refract the light coming from the sun going down into the caves. So that's what the crystals are for. There's lots of greenery inside of the caves due to the light, and there's some like a large, or I guess there's a lot of the water fountain plants. I don't remember what they're called, but basically they're the plants that are basically like a water fountain. So those are very abundant here. The atmosphere, like how people are there, they're stubborn, clever, and complex. This one, I don't know. That could use some work. That was just used from the other document. The climate, it's moist. It rains a lot on the surface, and it's constantly cloudy. So it's not a very good place since there's like huge fog. Nobody wants to live on the surface there, but underground there's a huge city. Inhabitants, people often forget they are underground due to how bright it is. Like, it's just, I mean, if you're not like looking up constantly and you're not like, oh, there's a bunch of crystals there, it's like, it feels like any other island, right? Although it might be like a little bit harder to breathe down there, but I guess that's a good point. Maybe it is harder to breathe down there. The side islands, there's not very many side islands. It's not the main attraction. I mean, that might change later, but not very many. It's just like they're very generic. Distinguishing features: huge crystals sticking out of the earth, constant fog, plants that glow in the dark. Right, so down in the caves, there's also going to be plants that grow in the dark. So at night, it's really cool. The night makes the crystals sparkle because of all the, I don't know, like stars and moons and stuff like that. So it's often very sparkly, and then the plants growing, so it's like a very cool place underground at night. And then attractions, there's huge crystals, basically the same thing. And then there's also a rave club and huge festivals. So at night specifically, because it's so beautiful at night. And so this is from Attack on Titan apparently. So this is sort of what it's going to be like as far as the size of the city. But just imagine like a bunch of crystals sticking out here, and it's very bright. It's not like this dark. And then we're thinking there's like a big pool of water of some kind on the side here. So that way you can actually like get water, you know, like there's water there. And then potentially like the water drips down from the rain somewhere, like there's a waterfall. So it's constantly refilling, so it's all good there. There's no lack of water necessarily. So yeah, and then it's mostly one giant island, although there could be a couple side, not islands, sorry. It's mostly one giant city, but then there could also be like other cities and like other locations. And then there's also like a lot of company built like drills and mine sites out on the outer edge of the city, because obviously those companies need to go mining for materials and stuff like that. So there is that as well. So that is the cave island. Moving on to the farming island. There are lots of smaller towns with one main city near the edge for import and export. And it's mostly flat, although there are some hills. But I mean, you can still farm on some hills. It's not like there's mountains. So this island is really good for farming. 83% of all food on Ilaria comes from this island, so it's a very important island. There's flat plains, hills, terraces, and large pillars of stone with many rivers. So it's just the best place for farming. Now, it's not just like plant farming, like crops. There's also livestock there, so it's not just limited to that. The atmosphere there is peaceful. Everyone in the town knows each other, except for in the main city. Because like I'm thinking in the outside towns, like the farming towns, there's maybe like 50 people per town, and so they're just like, you know, doing their own thing. They're farming there, and then like everyone in that town knows each other. And now obviously in the big town, there's a larger population there, so not everyone would know each other. But like in the small towns with 50 people, you can know all 50 people there. The climate, it's sunny and periodically rainy, perfect for farming. Inhabitants, most people grow up there to be farmers. Like, you're born a farmer, your parents were a farmer, their parents were a farmer, etc. It's just a long line of farmers. Side islands, there are farms there for plants that like ruin others. So for example, if you have one plant that like devours another plant, you gotta separate that away. So maybe there's just a side island dedicated to that one specific plant. Distinguishing features, old ruins. Since this island is so easy to work with, some of the oldest towns were built there. So like when the king that we know was not the king and he was little, that is where he lived. He lived on that island because it's just the easiest island to live on. There's no like harsh environments. It's all pretty much flat, or at least you can find a lot of flat areas. So a lot of big towns were there. But when he became king, he was like, all right, look, this island is perfect for farms, so we're going to move up, and we're going to move all of the towns, and everyone's going to move to a different island, which would become the King's Island. And so they decided to dedicate that island to farming, and so that became the farming island. Social life is lots of partying at night, early mornings and early nights, because you get up early in the morning to attend to the crops and stuff like that, and then once it starts getting dark, you're done. And then you got a lot of the night to spend however you want. Repetitive days, because you just get up, farm, and go to bed. Attractions, the ruins, festivals, annual contests, and quarterly farmers markets. So farmers markets, the way that those work is like maybe 4 times a year. The big town holds a giant farmers market. And what companies do is they travel from all the different islands to the farmers market because it's a lot cheaper to buy in bulk there, since that's sort of what they're advertising. Like, if you come to our island, we will give you a better price than if we were to sell it off to the distributors, and then the distributors sell it off to you. So you eliminate the middleman and go straight to the source, and so it's a lot cheaper. So a lot of businesses and stuff come and buy lots of livestock and farm stuff like wheat. So that's a big attraction for this. So farmers all year are preparing for this. Now, since there are no seasons on Ilaria, the way that you're just farming all year, basically. So if you have 3 plots of land, maybe you're harvesting plot 1 while plot 2 and 3 are still growing. Then by the time you're done harvesting plot 1, plot 2 is ready to be harvested. And so then you have people working on replanting for plot 1 while other people are starting to harvest plot 2, and then people are still like watering plot 3, and then this cycle just returns, or just it continues. So people are constantly harvesting, planting, replanting, stuff like that. So it's never like you're just off for a season. There's no winter, so it's like plants can constantly be grown, so you're always pretty much busy. So that was the farming island. It's a pretty basic island. It's just good for farming. So the next island is the normal island, also known as the tree island. Now basically the idea behind this one is it's just a basic island that we can put in a lot of different biomes. So unlike the farming island, which the entire island is for farming, the normal island has a lot of room for different varieties. So you could have a biome with trees where people live in the trees, like maybe the trees are just that big. And then maybe there's a volcano like biome-ish kind of thing. So then you can have that. And then there's just a bunch of different biomes put together into this one island. This is the island that you would expect an island to be. Forests, rivers, lakes, etc. It has a large variety of biomes. It has the second largest population. Good mix of towns and cities. Cost of living is a lot better than the King's Island. Most middle-class people live here. And basically, this island is like the King's Island, but not as busy. The reason why I wanted to make it a more normal island is A, because we have a lot of biomes that we're not really using at this point, and B, because we need to get the population up. As of right now, a lot of the islands just are not fit for having a large population, and so this would allow for a lot of towns and villages to up the population quite a bit. The atmosphere, people is normal. People live their lives and have ambitions. It's just it's everyday people like you find here on Earth. Climate, it's average. There's some rain, but mostly sunny, and that sort of depends on the biome, but it's mostly just, you know, it's kind of sometimes sunny and it's sometimes rainy. You know, it's pretty boring. Inhabitants, they're just normal people. It's your everyday town. Like if you go outside and you go see people, it's like that. Side islands, there are a couple smaller villages on some side islands, depending on how large they are. And then a large, like, world tree. Don't know if that's what it's actually going to be called, but this world tree. We were sort of joking around in stream where it's like, maybe it would grow a different fruit each year or something like that. And then maybe it would have some sort of tie to the big tree in the Soul Realm. So we'll have to explore that at some point as well. Distinguishing features. A large number of biomes, and I guess technically the world tree is also a distinguishing feature. Social life, it's normal. There's frequent parties, average lives, you know, nothing too special. And then attractions, the world tree. So there is that as well. So that was all of the 3 islands that we covered this week. Again, we will be doing the last 3 next week, hopefully, as long as we have enough time for all 3. I don't know why we wouldn't, but I think that's really all I have to say for this week. If you enjoyed, you can leave a like and subscribe for more content similar to this, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.